Another 45 hours in the middle of well, actually more than the middle of a 72-hour fast. That's where we are right now. And in the middle of all this, we talk about fasting, and we've been doing a good job here of talking about intermittent fasting and extended fasting and alternate day fasting. And tonight we want to talk a little bit about how to align your eating and fasting to a circadian rhythm and what that means and what are some of the benefits. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to reverse their diabetes. That's what we're doing here. Also, if you are new, go ahead and put new in the chat because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are happy that you are here in the space. And, if you also have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments because I'd love to say hello and answer those questions. Make sure you put a Q in front of it so that we know that that is a question that we will need to get to. If you are there, if you don't see someone that you invited or someone in the space where you are, and we should be right now streaming to, of course, here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, all of those spaces are places that we are streaming to. As you know, recently, X or Twitter had a change in their policies, and so we are currently no longer live streaming to that platform. Send them a message and say, hey, yeah, change that policy back so that we can live stream. Go ahead and send your friends, family members a message and let them know that we are here in the space. Also, we are not streaming currently to Instagram. They have some particular things that they do on how they stream. Once again, send them a message and say, hey, you're making it tough for folks to live stream. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's see. And as you know how we do, I have off to the side my glucose meters that we're going to take a look at. You also will take a look at my reports. So my meters are off to the side, and we'll take a look at those. I've got a Keto Mojo and a Contour. And then right below me, you will see there, that is my Dexcom Clarity report. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit. So I am in the middle of a 72-hour fast, and I keep saying in the middle, but we're actually a little bit more than the middle. We're actually 45 hours. Here in a few hours, we're going to be 48 hours, and then of course tomorrow will be 72 hours in the fast. I mentioned earlier in the week that there were some things that we were doing, some meetings that we had, and that we had broken. We started the fast and we'd gone to 42 hours earlier this week, and then broke the fast for a meeting that I was having, restarted the fast, and now we're at 45 hours, a little over 45 hours and 6 minutes. And right now you are not seeing my Libre. Let's see what's going on with that right now. Let's go back over here. And so I'm in the middle of that process right now and want to go ahead, and we're going to do a check-in here in just a minute so that you can see or hear what is going on with me and where I am. As I normally do, I talk a little bit about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, because those are the people will where people will have issues. And so let's go ahead and let's hop over and do that check-in right now. All right. So when we talk about how we're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, I always want to say that there are several phases of fasting, and we're using fasting as a tool for putting our diabetes in remission. We'll come back here in just a second. There are several phases to fasting, and if you are not careful to go through each of those phases correctly, then you set yourself up for not being successful. So, in the process of reversing diabetes, one of the tools that we've been using is fasting. There are several other tools that we have learned here in this space, in this community. If you've not done so, go back and make sure you watch some of those shows that we've done. New Year, New You. That is our theme for the year. That is the process. That's the program. That is the underpinning of all that we're doing. Those are the underpinnings of all that we're doing here in the space as we're working in that direction. Okay? So checking in, people often will talk about how they're feeling physically. So how am I doing? Am I lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, weak, tired? All those things that go along with an understanding of how sugar works in the body and what sugar does, that is glucose, and the energy that comes from it. So sometimes if we are not careful, then we can actually have situations where our energy levels go down, where our blood sugar drops, and so that can cause issues for us, those things, very things that I talk about. Right now, as I am in this fast, 42 hours, I'm not feeling lightheaded, not feeling dizzy, not having any palpitations, all of those things that may be associated. As I've mentioned before, did a pretty good job of coming into this fast with good nutrition, good hydration, and I've been hydrated because, well, not because, but you see me with my cup. All right, so doing a good job of hydrating. And that's been a good thing for me, and that has kind of kept me in feeling well. How about mentally? Mentally, I'm feeling clear, not feeling cloudy, not feeling dull or sluggish. That's another one that sometimes will happen if we're not doing a good job of getting into the fast, preparing for the fast as we are getting into it. And then emotionally, so I felt at the beginning of the week, if you recall, when we did some of the breaking of the fast, because of the situation I was in, I felt a little guilty, if you will, because I hadn't quite solidified in my head what I was going to do as part of that fast. And so that sometimes is something that will happen. But right now, feeling good, back in the saddle, if you will, and going through the process of fasting, and I'm excited about that. All right, so that's where we are in terms of the fast. Let's go ahead, and I want to hop over and take a look at blood sugars based on our meter and also based on our continuous monitors. And you'll see on the screen both, and let's do this one first. So right now you'll see my Freestyle Libre, which is saying that my blood sugar is 87. And you'll see down at the bottom, you'll see that graph that has been for the last 12 or so hours and continually going down to where it is right now. If I go over and take a look at my Dexcom, and let's get rid of that one, you'll see that my Dexcom also has been going down, and I'm going to change that to 12 hours. And you see that similarly to the Libre, it is actually going down as well. The number is 105, and as you know, sometimes they will be different from each other. Today in the office, I had several questions about the differences. Why is one different from the other? And they are allowed to be 20% different, for example, in terms of their number. Also, depends on where we have one relative to the other. It depends on, right now at this moment, remember these things will check blood sugars every 5 minutes or so, up to that. So maybe one checked it 5 minutes ago and it's not time for the other one to check yet, right? So there can be differences there as well. But anyway, at any rate, you saw what the numbers are there. Let's hop over and let's take a look at my monitors. So I've got a Keto Mojo, which will give me blood sugar and also will give me ketones. I've got a Contour blood sugar monitor. And so let's go ahead and get into those and see what my blood sugars are compared to the other or the continuous monitors. So let's get a test strip and get that into, this is the Contour. And we'll start with the blood sugar strip for the Keto Mojo. Go ahead and get that open and get that strip in there. You'll see that come on. Boom, boom, boom. And grab my trusty container with my lancing devices, lancets. I'll grab 2 just in case I need to do a second poke. All right, and these are spring-loaded, All right, so there's a lever right there, and you press it, and it pops the lancet out. You take off the top, and this is purple. I don't know if I have one that has the. No, I don't have. I don't think I have any of those, but they come in different colors. And well, let's go ahead and do this. Here's another lancet. All right, let's get that one. So here's another lancet, and so many of you may be familiar with something like this. And basically, this goes into a lancing device. So you insert it into the device, and the device is now spring-loaded. So once you put this in, you set it. You take the top of this off, and there is the you see right there. It's a small needle, and what happens is this goes into the lancing device, and when you press it, it pops this up. It's spring-loaded, and then you get a prick in on the finger. Okay. So they all kind of work with that spring-loaded idea. All right, so let's go ahead and let's grab one of these and take the top off like that, and then let's bring it up here, and I'm going to do it so you can hear it, and hopefully you heard that clicking sound. And let's make sure, let's see if we got a good, yeah, we got a good drop of blood. Get that one started, and another drop of blood for the contour. And so the contour, let's see, just a minute, we'll get that one, but the Keto Mojo is 89. The contour says 83. So 83 for the contour, 89 for the Keto Mojo, and then 87, 86 now for the Libre, and then of course the Dexcom is the highest at 104. So what I want to do now is go ahead and take the strip out for the blood sugar for the Keto Mojo, open up, if I can get that open. This is the strip now for the ketone, if I can get it in. And then let's apply a drop of blood. Okay, and then of course I'm going to tease you guys because I'm not going to show you what that number is. If you think you know what it is, what it will be at 45 hours of fasting, go ahead and pop those and drop that in the chat because I'd love to know what you think. All right, so while that is running, let's hop over and let's have a conversation. And so you saw the flyer, so 45 hours of fasting right now, heading towards 72. And many people ask, well, what is the benefit of fasting? What is the benefit of fasting? And fasting has several benefits. We've talked about managing blood sugar. We've talked about weight. We've talked about autophagy, and we'll go through some of that again today. On Fridays, we typically do a run-through of fasting in general. So if you've not done so yet, go ahead and catch one of our shows. And then, of course, join us tomorrow where we will be doing a fasting review along with our regular teaching segment that we do. But in terms of tonight, we want to talk about the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is a process that is in the body. So your body works on a clock. It has a wake-in cycle and a sleep cycle. It has a cycle for instance, women who are of childbearing age. They'll go through the cycle, right? So they'll have their clock. Their body is on a timer, if you will. And so it continues to do that. There are certain things that are triggered by light or darkness. And so circadian rhythm really is the body's internal clock that it uses to regulate many systems within itself, right? So that's what the circadian rhythm, that's a very broad definition of what it is. And so the question that we want to ask as we are talking about fasting, because that's one of the tool that we're using right now, as we're talking about fasting, is there any benefit for having your body aligned or your eating and fasting window aligned with the circadian rhythm? And that's what we're going to have a conversation about here today. And when we talk about And actually, let me get this guy out of here. Hold on a second. So when we talk about the circadian rhythm, the type of fasting that we want to talk about is we want to talk about time-restricted eating, right? So time-restricted eating. And so time-restricted eating is a time during the day where we are restricting our eating and or fasting, depending on which side you're looking at. We're restricting our eating period to a period that corresponds to our circadian rhythm. Okay, we're eating during a period that corresponds to circadian rhythm. And there are some benefits to that, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But what is the difference between time-restricted eating and the other types of things that we're talking about? And give me just a minute. Let's make one change. There we go. All right. So time-restricted eating, it's eating all your meals within a certain time frame each day. So every day you're doing the same time frame, and the time frame is trying to correspond and try to coincide with the circadian rhythm. And typically it's 12 noon to 8 p.m. right? So 12 noon to 8 p.m. that a lot of people will use as their time, okay? And so you may be saying, well, what's the difference between time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting? So in time-restricted eating, all your calories are eating within a specific time window each day, and then outside of that window, you fast, just like we've been talking about, from consuming any calories, right? So that's the definition. That's what we're using when we're talking about time-restricted eating. Intermittent fasting is a broader concept. And if you've been with us the last several weeks as we've done our check-in, we've done an extensive conversation about intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is comprised of various types of eating patterns, right? So last night we talked about alternate day fasting. We've talked about the 16-8 fasting. There's the 5-2, where you fast for 2 days and you eat for 5 days. In fact, extended fasting, as I'm doing, can also be considered intermittent fasting, because I typically fast for 72 hours and then I eat for the remaining of the time. And it is a cycle, right? Intermittent fasting is intermittent, and we're intermittently fasting. So it is a cycle of eating followed by fasting, eating followed by fasting, eating followed by fasting. So that's intermittent fasting. And the fasting periods can vary in length and frequency. So you can decide, today I'm doing a 16-8. We've had people, and if you were on maybe a couple of check-ins ago, one of our community members was saying that she had done a 12-12 and a 16-8, and now is going to get ready to do a 24, right? So you can change the length of time, and you can change the frequency, and you can change the times that you are eating, right? So that is intermittent fasting. So it's a broader concept of fasting followed by eating. And so if we compare intermittent fasting with time-restricted eating, the emphasis, this is time-restricted eating, the emphasis is on the timing of eating relative to the body's circadian rhythm, okay? And it aligns eating with daylight hours, and this supports the body in natural metabolic processes, right? So we are trying to align the time we're eating to our daylight times, and allow that to be the change that we have, okay? So let's go back and let's talk a little bit about intermittent fasting. So if for for simplicity's sake, we decide that we're going to do a 12 to 8, right? So that's 6, 7, so 8 hours fasting on a regular basis every day. We're going to do 8 hours. I can either do my 8 hours starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and this is talking about eating. I can start my eating at 8 o'clock in the morning and finish eating at 2, and then I would fast from 2 p.m. all the way to the next morning. Okay? So that's one way of doing an a 16-8. Or I can decide that I'm going to start eating or stop eating at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And then I would start eating, so 3 to 9 would be 12 hours, and then 6 hours, and then I'll start eating at, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, right? So that would be a 16-8. But those fasting periods would not coincide with the body's normal clock, because the body's normal clock is what we've kind of described, where we are ending our eating at 8 o'clock at night, and so we're going to go for 6 hours, right? So we're going to sorry, I should say we end our eating. So we're going to end our eating at 8 o'clock at night, and so we're going from 8 o'clock all the way to 8 the next morning. That's 12 hours, and then to 12 o'clock. So that's 16 hours. And those are the times when I'm not going to fast. I'm not going to eat. So I'm fasting during that period. And then I start eating from 12 to 8 o'clock, which is now the typical daylight times. And then 8 o'clock at night, I go into the night times. Does that make sense? So the darkness, right, 8 o'clock at night, right? So the body's getting ready to go to sleep, is getting ready to cool down, to slow down. Now a lot of us will stay up later. That's a whole nother story, right? But the body's getting ready to go to sleep 8 o'clock at night, and so by the time you get into bed 9, 10 o'clock, right? So we're in those dark hours, and we go all the way into the next morning. Okay, and up until 12 o'clock. So we're actually using that nighttime to be part of our fasting. And I tell people, actually, right, and I usually, if you've heard me talk, I usually tell people to start their fasting at night anyway, because by the time you wake up the next morning, you've already gone through several hours. If you sleep for 8 hours, you've gone through 8 hours of fasting. For me, that's exciting, because I don't have to now think that, hey, if I started in the morning, now I've got to think, man, if I'm doing 24, I've got all the way till tomorrow to fast. But if I start at nighttime, say I start at 8 o'clock, by the time I wake up the next morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time it is, I've already gone 8, 9, 10, maybe 12 hours, depending on how long you slept, of fasting. So it's a good way to begin the fast. But back to our idea about circadian rhythm. So the body has a circadian rhythm, and so what we're trying to do with time-restricted eating is to have our fasting window coincide with the body's dark cycle, and our eating correspond with the light cycle, right? So day and night. So we eat during the day, we fast during the nighttime. And there are some benefits that we will see, right, when we talk about time-restricted eating. And so we're going to run through those here quickly. So one, improved metabolic health. So a lot of people will tend to be, and we'll see this again in another one of the points that's coming up, people will tend to be less insulin resistant in the morning, and so basically more sensitive. And so there are things that happen at nighttime that sets us up for being metabolically successful the next morning. So the body incorporates, it rejuvenates, it replenishes, right? When we get that deep sleep, that REM sleep, so we're building muscles. Testosterone is developed overnight. And so when we wake up in the morning, right, all of those processes are now in a prime way to be successful and to help us in our metabolism through the day. Because what we've done at nighttime is we've rested. Right, that's the key, right? So the body is not forced to have to be processing and digesting and all the things that it does because we are eating later in the day. But when we end and the body is, our body says, hey, I'm ready to go to sleep and I'm starting to shut things down, we're not putting anything else in. And so now the body can use that entire time right? To replenish, to rejuvenate, to rebuild, to get those hormones regulated. A lot of times, you may have had a dream about something that you may have been watching, or something that happened during the day. So the body begins incorporating also all of the things that we have, right? If you do any information or any studies on dreams and sleep and how we integrate different things, and there's a whole culture that talks about dreams. But the idea is that during that process, we're allowing the body to rest, right? We don't have to think about digesting at that point. We're allowing it to rest so it can focus on the building of the other things that it needs to do as we're sleeping. Okay. Number 2, enhance fat metabolism. Oh yeah, right. You knew that one was coming. Couldn't go without saying something about fat metabolism. So as we're fasting, right, and fasting in general will help with fat metabolism, because the idea is that your body has to now go and find energy. And when we are sleeping, remember I told you that the body is rejuvenating, is replenishing, is rebuilding, right? It's having to use substrates. It's having to use proteins and those parts of us that, remember, autophagy comes in as well. So it's having to use that to process. And it looks like I have, you guys can probably hear me, but can't see me right now. All right. And so great place for us to hop over and look at, how about this guy right here? All right, so maybe not that one. How about this? Here we go. Boom, here we go. I like that. And so, so the process of repair happens as we are in the space of sleeping. And so aligning your circadian rhythm with your eating, fasting is important, because it coincides with giving the body rest during those times when the body needs the rest to do other things. Okay, so very, very important there. The other idea behind this improved fat metabolism is that during that process, right? So we are going and we're not putting anything in. So as the body is now spending time to rebuild and spending time to incorporate and rejuvenate and replenish, right? So as we get further and further into that fasting process, our insulin level begins to drop. We're using up all the glycogen that's stored in our liver. And so the body is now having to begin looking for alternate sources. And we begin using fat, right? We can use, particularly if you're doing some of the longer fasts. And as you guys know, I'm a big proponent of all fasting, but a big proponent of extended fasts as well. All right, and so that is metabolism. So fat metabolism. Spot back over here. So better blood sugar control. And that is one that we've talked about before. And better blood sugar control comes about because, as I mentioned, a lot of people tend to be more insulin sensitive in the morning. And so if we're more insulin sensitive in the morning, we're more resistant at night. So if we are eating at night, then the blood sugars will spike higher. When they spike higher, we need more insulin, and the more insulin that comes out, now we have all of the things that we talk about when we discuss the side effects, if you will, or the detrimental components of insulin. Because insulin is great at what it does, but too much insulin is bad. Too much insulin is not where we want to be. So if we are more insulin sensitive in the morning, then we will have lower, let me say this carefully, we will have better control in the morning if we're not eating at nighttime, right? So if we're starting to eat during the daytime when our insulin is more sensitive, then we get better blood sugar control because that insulin is able to do a better job for us. Okay? Now, you're saying, well, my blood sugars are higher in the morning. Well, remember, we're not eating in the morning, so we're waiting until noon. As particularly in this case that I gave, starting to eat at noon and then ending eating at 8 o'clock. Now, what some people will see in terms of blood sugar is that in the morning, the body is getting you ready for the day, and so the hormones that it sets up, cortisol, epinephrine, growth hormone, all of those are with the intention of getting you going to the day through the day. And their job, for instance, cortisol's job is to find energy. And energy in the body is in the form of blood sugar, right? So it goes out and finds blood sugar. And so that's why sometimes we'll see those blood sugars spike up during the morning. Not because you've eaten something necessarily, but because the body is getting you ready for the day. And that usually starts at the end of your sleep cycle. So 3-4 o'clock in the morning, those hormones are coming out and then they show up. The other reason some people will have higher blood sugar in the morning is that they are responding to stress, right? So I had one lady that we were talking to, and when we looked at her continuous monitor, right at about 6, 7, well, I think it was 7 o'clock, 6:45, 7 o'clock, her blood sugar started going up. And I said to her, hey, what happens? And I forgot the name of the guy. She said, Bob. Let's pretend it's Bob. She said, Bob comes in at 7 o'clock. Right? And they didn't get along. And so she started to see her blood sugars rise, not because she was eating something, but because of the stress associated with that. Okay? All right. And then, so we talked about improved metabolic health. We talked about enhanced metabolism, better blood sugar control. Just a second. So better blood sugar control and weight management. So that weight management goes along with what? It goes along with the fat metabolism that we just talked about. Enhanced digestive health. So digestive health, right? So if your body is resting, then all those benefits that we get while it's resting, as it's trying to do the things that it normally, and let me pause and say one of the things that I think I'm going to do. And I keep saying I have got these shows. Every time we have a show, every time we talk, there's something that comes to mind. I'm going to do a show where we go through and talk about the things that go on in the sleep cycle, right? Because one of the things that we talked about in terms of reducing insulin is to get good sleep. So we need to talk about the things that go on in the sleep cycle so you get an idea, a picture of what the body is doing during that time. And one of the things it does is it has the ability to get improvement in the gut, in the GI system, in the intestine. And so if we're resting during that time, then those cells whose job it is to clean the system out, they can do that. So they're not spending time absorbing while you're supposed to be sleeping. They're not spending time working in terms of getting the body to digest food, but it's spending the time in the repair process that we expect. You get better sleep, right? If you're not eating at night, right? So have you ever eaten and then gone to lay down to sleep? Yeah, that's not a fun thing. And so when we align our eating and fasting to the circadian rhythm, we're naturally setting ourselves up to work when the body wants to work, and we're setting ourselves to sleep and rest when the body wants to sleep and rest. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then hormonal balance. And I've already mentioned testosterone, but your hunger hormone, your satiety hormone, all those can become dysregulated if we're eating at different times. But while we're sleeping, insulin levels are going down because the blood sugars aren't spiking, and our hormones, our satiety hormone, our hunger hormone, those hunger hormones, they become more regulated during that process. So the benefits of aligning our circadian rhythm, or our eating, if you will, eating and fasting with circadian rhythm, those are huge. They have significant implications for really just general health, for blood sugar, for weight, for hormonal balance. All of those things are enhanced when we're doing things the way the body wants it done in terms of the body's clock. And so what are the benefits? There they are. By aligning it, you get to, and basically it's a twofer, right? because the body already wants to do it, and so we just allow it to do the things that it's already trying to do and is designed to do. So we're not fighting it. And sometimes when we fight how the body wants to do something, that's where we run into what? Disease processes. Okay. All right. All right. So what do you think, if you're out there, what do you think my ketones are going to be? And let's pop back over and let's take a look at ketones. So if you think you know what they are, go ahead and pop those in the chat, and let's hop over and take a look. So let's get rid of the contour. And here is my Keto Mojo, and I will need to get my app, Keto Mojo app up. Let's see, where are we? Come on, Keto Mojo app. Here it comes. And while that comes up, let's pop here, and I'll need to take this strip out and turn that monitor on so it could begin syncing. And go ahead and pop that in. And we should see that number come up there in just a minute. Let's see. And there it is. And there you are. So 89 blood sugar and 0.6. 0.6 is that's what our ketones are. And you recall when we talk about ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And so we want to be 0.5 or higher. If we look at my graph, so the tan line that you see there, those are blood sugars. And then the turquoise line, those are ketones. And so as my blood sugar has gone down, my insulin has gone down. And then as my insulin goes down, ketones will go up. Because remember, ketones and blood sugars, or ketones and insulin can't coexist at the same time. It's kind of like matter and antimatter. Okay? Awesome. All right. So that's where we are. And let's pop over. And I do see one of our community members just popped in. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Let me go over here so I can pop your question, your comment up. There we go. So Jennifer saying, quick check-in to say howdy, then back off again. Okay, well, glad that you were able to join us and just to say hello. Glad that you came through. Give you a hand clap. All right. So let's hop over and let's take a look at my monitor or my report. Okay. So let's get this. So my report that you'll see right down there at the bottom. And then if you have not done so, as we move over there, if you've not already done so, go ahead and make sure that you take a look back at our show from this past Monday. We're in the process of talking about the pillars of reversing diabetes, and we dealt with the first one, decreasing insulin. It is out on our on a YouTube channel. All right, and so let's look at our blood sugar meter and our report. And you see there, my average blood sugar over the last 14 days is 127. So 127, and let me get my mouse so you can actually see that. All right, so 127. I'm in target 84% of the time. That's in our range, and our range is 70 to 180, right down there that you see. And my glucose management indicator is 6.3. So that means if I were to get my A1C, then my A1C would be a 6.3, right, based on this. If I go and look at my 90-day average, and you'll see that it's probably about 110 to 112, I believe. 111, look at that, I was right, right there, right on point. And you'll see that based on 90 days, my glucose management indicator is 6.0, right? So basically, if I got an A1C based on that, it would be 6.0. And so my goal, right, is to keep that A1C of 6.5 or less. So that's the goal. If I look at my daily graphs, let's go ahead and pull that up. And I want to go back and we're going to take a look at a couple of things, because if you remember, I did a 43 hour fast earlier this week. Then I broke that fast because I went to that dinner meeting that I told you guys about. And then I restarted the fast at midnight that evening. So let's pop back over and let's take a look. So Sunday, let's see. So we went to dinner. That was Tuesday evening. So right in here. All right. So Sunday. So I've been eating Sunday and Sunday. So I started the fast Sunday evening at right about midnight, I believe. And so I was 151. And so blood sugars are going down, 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 down. And you'll see as we got to the end of Monday, right, into the next morning. So now we're 24 hours, right? So midnight to midnight, 24 hours. And then the next day, coming into that day, all the way down to about 6 o'clock or thereabout, right? So now we're 42, 43 hours. And then I broke the fast and I ate, and those blood sugars went up. And I'll show you here in a minute that they actually went up. Let's see, got up to about, what, 144 maybe there. And I think they actually got up a little higher than that. But right here was when my monitor went out during this process, and I didn't put it back on until the afternoon. And at that point, it was 127. And then we restarted that fast. We restarted the fast Tuesday night at midnight. And so Wednesday, that was last night, we're at 24 hours. And then, of course, coming into today, where we are right now, at 45, 46 hours or thereabouts. Okay, awesome. All right. Let's see. I see some other folks that have popped in, so let's hop over and let's say hello. I see Pamela. She said hi. Was it? Wasn't sure if you were live. Yes, Pamela. We are live. We are live every Monday. It's sorry, not every Monday. I'm thinking tonight is our live show, but no, we are live. And then Steve is saying hello. Hey, Steve, how are you doing? We had our community meetup earlier this evening at 7 o'clock. And so if you've not been with us, you want to make sure that you join us for our next one coming up on the fourth Thursday at 7 o'clock in the month of August. So we've done the one for July. We want to make sure that you are joining us as we get into the rest of the year. All right. So I want to talk to you tonight, about potential, unlimited potential that you have, that is at your fingertips, that you have access to. It is something that I want to encourage you that we all need to tap into. We all need to be able to embrace it and access it. And we are able to access it. We're able to tap into it by education, empowerment, and encouragement. We educate here on the show. We empower and we encourage. You have the ability to create your destiny. You have within you the ability to create the metabolic health that you're looking for. Now, I talked to someone today, and I was saying that there are things that have happened in the past, and you know this, right? There are things in your past, things in your metabolic history that can't be changed right now. So there are some complications that you got into. There's, you may have had a heart attack already. You may have had some issues with your vision, issues with stroke, and on and on and on. Those things are to the past. But moving forward from right now, you have the potential to make change. You have the potential for being successful in improving metabolic health. Now, anything that you do that changes, that improves metabolic health is beneficial. Now, people say, well, they tell me that I can't do such and such. I can't do such and such. You may not be able to do that, but we can prevent and we can delay, right, a lot of the complications that come in metabolic health if we make changes right now. So you have the ability to do that. And we do that with our platform. The Triple E Formula for Success is we educate, we empower, and we encourage. Educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows that we do, the podcast, the blogs. All of that is with the intention of providing you with information and providing you with data and providing you with resources to create and to make a shift in your thought, to be able to look at things a little differently, right? A frame shift, if you will. We encourage So we empower. We empower with the tools that we learn here on the show. And you've seen several of them, right? The heat model, emotional intelligence, how to create a meal, how to fast. That's one of the things that we're doing as we talk about fasting. It is a tool that we can use to be successful in our metabolic health. And we encourage with the support of the community that we are building. So you are an integral part of that community. When you come on, when you tell your story, when you say hello, when you say, hey, I'm fasting, when you say, hey, I've had this issue, I've had this complication, I've had this struggle, right? That is part of the community that you are building and that you are enriching. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. There are things that will push us in a direction that will push us off of our meal plan, and they come by the heat model. The heat model says that all the things that will push us fall into either habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. The habits that we formed, those social cues, those routines, right, that we eat, not because we're hungry, but because it's something that we do just because, right? We eat because of habits. We eat because of emotions, right? When we're angry, we're sad, we're lonely, we're tired, we're bored, we're frustrated. All of those emotions, if they get high enough, if they get big enough, if they're strong enough, they will push through our desire, push through our decision, push through the thoughts that we've had about what we want to do in terms of our metabolic health and how we want to be better. So managing those emotions, that's where emotional intelligence comes in, because emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of where you are emotionally and where other people are, and to be able to use that for your benefit. Emotional intelligence. And we eat also because of access, because things just happen to be there. Not because we're hungry, but we walk by a coworker's desk and they have something on their desk. They have a bowl of candy or fruits, and we grab one. We go into the kitchen, we're walking by the pantry, and there it is, and we just grab it. Not because we're hungry, but because we see it. We have access to it. And then we eat because of taste. The perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat, the bliss point, as they call it. It is the thing that drives us, but we're never shooting, we're never chasing after, we're never running after food. We're always looking for what the food is doing for us, the calm that it brings, the memory that it brings back, that time when we went to that place when we had that thing and we felt that way. It puts us in a space that is beneficial to us, that we get some benefit, we're getting something from it, and that's why we are going after it. It's not that you just love that candy. Now, it tastes good, and that enhances it, but there's something behind it, and that's what we're chasing. So the heat model. And then our call to action is this. Join the challenges. Every month we go through challenges. Every month we have a different challenge. Every month we are providing you with the opportunity to use the challenges as a way of practicing what you're learning. So when we say, hey, figure out your why, what's the reason that you want to do what you want to do? Do you have a plan? Do you have a retirement plan, a trip that you want to go to or go on, something that you have been saving up for a long time, even a surgery that you've got to have that they've told you can't have because you're either overweight or blood sugars are too high or some other metabolic issue? What's your why? Because the why will give you the power, it's give you the strength, it'll be the wind beneath your wings to keep you going when times sometimes will get difficult. And then, right, learn how to fast for at least a 24 hours once a week. That's one of the tools. Wherever you are right now, work your way up to be able to fast for 24 hours. It is at 24 hours that the glycogen in the liver is gone, is pretty much depleted. It is at 24 hours that we switch into full ketosis. It is at 24 hours that autophagy is in full gear, right? All the benefits that we get, 24 hours. So learn, begin working your way to be able to fast for 24 hours. And then figure out what in the heat model is your trigger. Is it a habit? Is it an emotion? Is it access? Is it taste? What is it that drives you? I'll tell you, for me, it's three of them. EAT, emotions, access, and taste. All of those are reasons why I will get pushed off of my eating plan or my decisions. And when you learn which one you have, and sometimes they will change, right? You now have the ability to make changes based on that, because you now understand the relationship between what you eat and these different triggers. Okay, so what trigger is yours? And then learn how to create a meal Learn how to create a meal based on these criteria. And when we say normal meal, this is what we're talking about, right? Whole foods, minimize processing, not a lot of added sugar. So no added sugar is what it says, right? Starchy and non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, lean protein, something that's tasty and something that has the appropriate portion size. And then as you're going through the New Year, New You model, don't keep it to yourself. Talk to someone, become a mentor. Let them know that, hey, I want to walk along with you. You know someone. There are over 1 billion people on the planet that either have diabetes or have pre-diabetes. You can be a voice of change. You can change your community. You can change your family. You can change your job, your church, your doctor's office. Wherever you are, you can be a voice for change by becoming a mentor in the New Year, New You process. Don't just tell people about it and then disappear for 5 months, but say to them, hey, let's go watch this. Let's watch this video. Hey, let's do this together. I'm going to check in on you. You check in on me, and we can work this process together. So become a mentor. And then making sure that you are doing the things you need to do to get screened for your cholesterol, your kidney function. We're talking about liver, all the things that you need to do. We did a show where we talked about labs that need to be looked at. Make sure you go back and take a look at that, and then talk to your family doctor, your family physician, your healthcare team about getting those done. And then for this month, our challenge is to add exercise to your regimen. Exercise brings with it a host of benefits. Not one of those benefits can be ignored. Now, some of you can't exercise for various reasons, but whatever you can do is of some benefit. Okay, so join the challenges when you come. That is the first call to action. That's the first part of the call to action. The second part is to tell your story. When you show up, claim your seat. Say, hey, I'm here. I've been fasting. I've been fasting for 24 hours. I've been fasting for 8 hours. I'm doing alternate day fasting. I've lost weight. I'm down by 100 pounds. I'm down by 50 pounds. I'm down by 30 pounds. I'm down by 10 pounds. I'm down by 1 pound. Yeah. My blood sugar is better. My A1C is better. I'm off medication. All of those things that you do, all those things that you say when you come, enriches this space. Okay, so share your story. Tell your story. Don't just keep it to yourself. And when you tell your story, then we can know if you can do it, then we can do it as well. If you're having struggles, we get to come around you and support you. We get to rally around you, and we know that we're not alone. Okay, that's part of the community. And then invite a friend. Going back to the mentor. Send a link. Let them know what's going on. Send them a playlist, right? Several playlists that we have out there that have the various shows that we've done. We've got one that's called How to Reverse Your Diabetes. We got one that's called How to Fast Successfully, where all the shows that we're doing. Understanding Diabetes. So lots of different playlists. You can send those to someone, right? Send them to the website so they can read one of the blogs that we have. But begin working with them. Remember, you can be the voice of change in your space. So invite a friend to this space, and don't just invite them, but call them up and say, hey, the show is about to start. Hey, we're about to do a check-in, and walk along with them. And you will be surprised. Well, not surprised. You will be happy that you've done that, because we will see other people coming alongside us and having those successes as well. And then the pillars for reversing diabetes. Pillars for reversing diabetes. Number one, decrease insulin. Whether you're taking it from outside, exogenous, or your body's producing it, endogenous. Decrease the total amount of insulin that's in your body. Number two is to suppress the appetite, because the appetite is what drives us. It's not hunger, right? It's here. It is, oh, Aunt Sue makes that thing, so I'm going to have some. I'm not hungry, but I remember what it tastes like. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's whatever holiday, and I'm going to have that just because. Suppress the appetite. And then reduce sugar, because sugar is the thing that causes the spike. The sugar causes a spike in insulin, and then insulin comes out. It causes weight gain. It causes high blood pressure. It can cause fatty liver, and all the things that we talk about when we talk about metabolic disease and metabolic syndrome. Okay, so those are the pillars. Awesome. So I am happy that you are here. Happy you took some time to hang out with me. Happy that I could be in this space with you and share with you. Make sure that you join us as we are going through the rest of this week in our check-in. We've got a check-in coming up tomorrow. And then if you've not yet checked out our newest edition, it is This Week in Review, where we review our shows, we recast them, and we spend some time doing some commentary. So make sure you do that. That's coming up on Sunday morning at 6 o'clock Central. As I always say, I'm happy to be here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow at our check-in, Sunday morning at 6 for This Week in Review, and then on Monday for Dwain Woode MD Live, right here, 7 p.m. Central. Good night, everybody.